Welcome to Learning with Lerner, where we embark on a transformative journey of knowledge and personal growth. I'm Lindsay Lerner, your dedicated host and guide as we delve into the depths of unconventional wisdom. Together, we'll explore the stories and insights of remarkable trailblazers who have forged their own paths. Brace yourselves for thought-provoking conversations, profound insights, and eye-opening experiences. Our mission is to challenge the norm, ignite curiosity, and empower you to embrace your unique journey. This is Learning with Lerner. Hey there, I hope you're ready for an extraordinary episode of Learning with Lerner. I'm so stoked to introduce Stoney Love, the CEO and founder of Stuzo Clothing. Stoney's not just a fashion powerhouse, but also an actor and a photographer, to name a few, a true multi-hyphenate. Stuzo Clothing's gender-free pieces redefine fashion norms celebrating individuality and self-expression. From their latest collections to dressing influential figures like Jada, Pinkett-Smith, and Lena, Waithe, Stoney's journey as an LGBTQ designer inspires change and authenticity. Join us as we uncover the fearless leader behind Stuzo Clothing and the remarkable impact on the fashion world. Can you share with us some of your earliest memories from growing up in the Bronx?
It was a nice time. I grew up in Co-op City, Section 4 to be exact. There are 5 sections. 4 is the best.
There we go. We go.
You know, I mean, there's everything in 4. You got Bay Plaza. You got a great part of the Greenway. There are buildings and townhouses. So I actually started out in some buildings and quick. Double core is a single core, double core, and a triple core. And they're literally kind of like that, where it's like a single building, 25 to like 36 floors, imagine. And there's like probably 10 people on each floor. But these are gated apartments. It's not projects. However, some people made it like that. And then the doubles are like conjoined and then the triples are conjoined. So kind of cool. You have all those and you can like go through the buildings and stuff. Then I spend the most half in townhouses, which some people would think they're like for like upper class, but we were totally, I mean, I didn't think we were middle class growing up, but I think maybe technically we were, but it just didn't feel that middle. It felt more like right under the middle, maybe there's a couple levels under the middle,
right?
Not like dirt poor. I gotta say, I didn't feel poor. But there were times when I was like, are we going through it? And one thing I loved, what I love doing in co-op is like we have this vast, which is nice in the Bronx. It's called the Greenway, and it spans from section 1, like it really to 4, like it connects somewhere. So I would like riding my bike. Literally, I can ride my bike through the sections on the vast Greenway, and it was a joy. I don't think I appreciated it, how rare it is having a wide area of greenery in the Bronx until
For sure.
I probably left. And then I thought back, like, even when you start healing your trauma, you're thinking of all the good times. And I'm like, you know what? I used to ride my bike through green and we had like there's a big stage there still to this day where they would put on concerts. And one of my all-time favorite times of the year, in the summer, we would have a co-op city fair. So we had our own fair that we on the Greenway, we'd fill the Greenway up with, they would bring in rides and like legit rides too, that, and they brought like a Ferris wheel, baby one. And then we would actually get people around our community to vend, which was nice because wasn't a lot of that. It was more like Brooklyn had a lot of like a vending culture and stuff. And we didn't really pop up a lot. So we had our stores. So it was really nice to see people, like you get to see what people made. And you didn't, people you saw, in church or wherever you were. And it's like, oh, you make candles,
Totally. Yeah, that's so neat. And how do you think that environment shaped your perspective now and throughout the course of your life?
It was like growing up in like 2 different worlds. And it's kind of like where I'm at now. So weird because like, all right, I saw like like I said, it's technically a gated. Well, it's not gated, but it's like it feels like a gated community. It's like our own community, but it's not as hard like naturally as some people wanted to make it. You know, wasn't a lot of respect given. I wasn't a part of this, but just I have an older brother, and I saw a lot of stuff going on between him and stuff he cared about. I didn't care about none of that stuff, but like you see it. So they were trying to make it a certain way. So I had like projected, some like mini violence going on and things like that. Then I would really go to a project and see what that's like and be like, if y'all think y'all are doing anything, like, you think you're gangster over here, it's like it can be worse, and it is worse out there. So like appreciate what you have here. I was more on that tip. Like I'm gonna appreciate this green because they don't have, a lot like of green or trees and stuff like that. It's literally like so small. So it was a humbling thing for me when I came back into my townhouse. My mother is neat. I didn't live with my father, but he's also neat. So I'm happy that I have that foundation of neatness because I'll go to my friend's house and it's dirty, there are roaches and there's like, and you know what I mean? And I've always like not judged people because I'm like, I see who you are. And I'm like, a lot of this comes from like, who your parents are and what they're doing inside the house. So I went to a non-zone school. So while it wasn't co-op, it was zoned for people outside of co-op city. All of my friends were outside of, co-op. And so the people, and then a lot of people that went to school in the zone schools, they knew each other. So they were like closer. So I always had friends outside, which now my friends are around the world. And they've always been different because, they're not like the same people in the same neighborhoods, and I love it that way. Like there's this eclectic nature of who I am and what I attracted and the worlds, like, people that understand that they're not defined, by the world they grow up in, and they're not looking at some other like neighborhood and wanting like seeing the hardness as a validation, and more so just like embracing the difference and stuff. And that's what I noticed that like I was aware of that, and then it shaped me. And I love like the people that I attract, for the most part. Everybody can give you a lesson and they're like, what the hell did I attract them for? But you got to know it's something within you,
Totally.
and then you got to learn and heal and stuff. But yeah, like eclecticity is like a lot that I got out of that.
Hell yeah. And do you ever bring those like very disparate friend groups together?
Yep. Yeah. I love doing that because I love for them to see, you know, it's like a reflection of themselves, like, oh, so and then they see the similarity, the commonalities they have with this person. And then it just comes back to like me, like, huh, like, you're interesting that you hang with this and that. And they might not expand themselves like that. But then now they look at themselves like, well, if I'm a part of this and you hang with this person and that person and we have this in common, now maybe I can open my mind to, letting different type of people in.
When you were a kid, were you always interested in the arts and creativity? And did you have somebody in your friend group or your family who was an inspiration to you? Or was that something that you went rogue and were like, this is what I'm going to figure out?
I have individually always been into arts. My savior, I mean, art really kind of saved me, to tell you the truth. I had a lot of trauma growing up at the young age of 3, so for me, it's like I had to keep finding pockets of joy, and more so looking back on it now, because then I just felt like it was a lot of stuff going on. So for me, I was grateful to have we had a terrace, balcony, whatever you want to call it. I call it a terrace, and it's like second floor, so it's very, we had to like weave it through so people won't be all in it. But like I had this like green boom box, this pastel green. I would take it outside, put the music on, Hot 97 BLS, and then I would draw and I would color trace pound puppies I don't know if you remember, that's a classic, all day. And then I bought Mad magazine, so I would like to like trace, or like I either with the tracing paper, or I like to draw, and I would take it off the tracing paper, or not use it, meaning, and then like, trace the characters and Mad magazines, and then do a lot of source magazines. I like to recreate the graffiti, and like, they did like caricatures of Wu-Tang that I still have to this day, that I like hand, like looked and traced, and and all that. And it was like that saved me. I'd be out there for hours, to the point where I'd fall asleep, and my grandmother, she would knock on the terrace door and be all like, "Just sleeping?" And I'm like, "Oh, like, all right, I fell asleep." And then, the warm sun, I love the warm. So I spent a lot of time on the terrace, like in the summers. I still also had a little bit of friends. So, sometimes they would come and try to get me out, and I'd sneak back in and act like I'm not even there, tell my grandmother to tell I'm not here. I was that it was very interested of a child. And then I would say, my mom and my father, they do have their own like artistic ways. So, I'm sure that definitely played a part. Like my mom made these great sculptures, which even whenever I would think about it, whenever I think about it, I'm just like, wow, it's amazing. But nothing that she did while I was there. It was just kind of like, it's, in me, but I don't really see it. Then my father, one thing I did see from him though, which encouraged me to pick up a camera. Like he would just like, he was in the Marines very briefly, so he would shoot around, and then, but more so, he was like a street vendor in Brooklyn, and he would like shoot everything. It's always like, I one time I had another scar right here, by
Okay.
running into a tree in Staten
Oh,
Island,
good.
just face
Mm.
first. All right. And this guy
Nothing
decides
good in
like,
Staten Island.
yeah, and I have a picture to prove that one too, because he took this picture. He was like, "Act like you're winning an award," and this is like the beginning of me wanting, which I don't even know if I did, but like, he was. That was the one thing that took me away from it. And maybe he saw that in me, so I had this sculpture he had, and I was just like, I'd like to thank the tree that I ran into. And I mean, I used to get really darker and tan. So, and it was pink. So it was like, there was no getting around this. And I was just about to start, I think, seventh grade. So it was like crazy. But yeah, he would photograph everything, and I would, look at him and be like, wow, this is cool. And I loved the idea of the film. So I eventually definitely got into that. Now I'm a photographer as well. So I want to get back into drawing and painting and things like that. So I actually been sketching lately, seeing what comes out and trying to sharpen that love that I have and skill.
No doubt. No, I feel that. I feel that. And what what role did your cultural heritage as an African Panamanian play in not only obviously your upbringing in terms of like the cultural aspect, but also now all of your artistic endeavors?
Well, it's like 90%, not 100% of my life, especially now that I'm seeking more knowledge on who I am every day, and as far as even by way of my cultures. So it's in how I create, because it's in me. It is me. So it's in how I create, and I find it's important for me to incorporate that in my design, so people can know like who I am. And the cultures of African culture and Latine culture are so vast. So it's really like my POV of that, and introducing people to Panama and Africa in ways that they haven't seen visually. And what I like to do is like take original pieces that we've seen, like the cut of something, like for instance a motorcycle jacket, and put a classic fabric that we've seen beautifully, like the kente fabric, and put that together and line that with velvet, because you got to feel royal and warm inside. And it's stuff that I want to see, like the overalls that I create, it's a classic cut, it's a classic, well,
They're so cool.
thank you. I want to make clothes that people could still embrace the culture without feeling like they're appropriating anything. It's really a
Fine line.
celebration. Yeah. Yeah, I draw
Totally.
that. I definitely teeter on that fine line because people do ask me, like, can I wear this? Can I wear that? And besides like black as fuck, and if you're just not black, I would say maybe that's the only thing I would stay away from. And still, if you decide that you want to wear it and, as an ally, you do at the end of the day, do what the hell you want to do. You know what I mean? Like I don't, it doesn't bother me like that as long as you're not wearing it like, I'm gonna just stretch out the black, or something like if your intentions are good, it's clothes. There's certain things like I had an F Pauly Shore shirt, and I only wore it. I thought it was hilarious. I love Pauly Shore as an artist. They just were making it at my screen printing shop when I was working there, and then I went there to Vegas, and Pauly Shore was performing. So I thought it was like cool to take a picture, like because I didn't really I don't mean that, and I get that, like I'm open. It's just like when you see something like that, it could offend somebody because they did actually ask me to take the damn t-shirt off in the MGM, and I was just like, I'm not taking my t-shirt off. That's all I have
Right?
on. Like, if I feel like fuck him, then that's how I feel, you know.
Right.
Um,
Can't
so
change
it's
it.
like, yeah, it's just up for conversation. That's why I like creating stuff like that so people could talk about it, like, there are
Totally.
certain people also that aren't what society deems as what a Latina person should look like or
Mm-hmm.
African,
For sure.
and so for them to have something that I've created that represents who they are, but maybe not how society sees them to look, then that can show somebody a different way. Like, it doesn't always look like this. Latin people are not always fair skinned and this and that. And you can also come and ask somebody if before you judge, ask somebody their story because there's a
Exactly.
story behind why people put things on. You know?
Mm-hmm. Ah, without a doubt. Without a
Yeah.
doubt. And so did you move from the Bronx to Los Angeles? Or was there
Oh yeah, it
anything in
was a
between?
yeah. There was New Rochelle in between.
Okay.
And then yeah, and then that's it. And then I moved here. Yep, I went to and I went back to live like or live back whatever with my mom. Um I was living with a in my first apartment, and then I moved one of my girlfriends in, and then she moved
As one
out.
does.
Yeah. And then it was like a lot of
How did mom feel
memories
about
and
that?
stuff. She was happy to have me. I want to still claim the responsible one and the one that she can not anymore as we don't speak, but then I was the one she could count on, at the end of the day. So she loved it, I think she loved it. Where and it was a different time for me. Of course I had lived off and on with my mom.
Was mom cool with the girlfriend or no?
Oh well, my girlfriend at the time, she left. So that's what was like a thing where she left and she just decided, like who she is more on the straight side. And I love that for her that she got to that clarity and relieved me of something that I wasn't going to leave, I think, unless she left me. So so I was happy that she made that move to that. And I ended up subletting that apartment to my older brother and then moved in with my mom. And then from there, I was gonna save for a house. So that was a plan. And then I was like, I even looked at some houses and stuff, and I started the business really around that time.
Okay. That's when Stuzo was born.
Yeah, it was born before that in my apartment, and then I had a business partner when I moved back with my mom, and then we got all the paperwork together, and then then I was looking for a house that maybe I could turn it also into a business there, like 'cause I know I needed like screen printing supplies and all this stuff. And then the prices were just crazy. And I was like, I'm gonna be here forever if I is gonna save for a house in New York. So I was just like, what's keeping me here? Like
Right.
I also got a big settlement from an accident I was in 2005, which I didn't even think was a thing that was happening still. And it was just like, oh. So I was like, okay, what am I doing here? I was gonna put it
Like a
into a
car
house
accident?
there. Yeah, somebody rear-ended me.
Damn.
Yeah, and at a red light, and I
Whew.
was,
Okay.
so, and then like 5 years later, right, I'm happy to be here, and then I got some money, and then I was just like, I'm gonna move to California.
How did that change of environment, do you think, influence not only Stuzo but your creative pursuits in general?
It was like it was a switch that I needed. It was the balance that I needed. I felt that I was just like too much in hurry up and go, like more of a masculine energy and not a laid back and even feminine energy. And that's within, and then just in touch with nature. It's just good. It's good. It gave me like time to think and just sit still, and there's just not a lot going on, noise and stuff like that.
Was this for Stuzo specifically and fashion, or was this like acting? Was this photography, or was just it was LA more of an open-minded collaborative space for you?
Yeah, I found it to be like open minded because like even when I first moved here, I pursued my acting career. So I was like, let me just use the cushion I have to do that while I was building out. I got my first screen printing press, so I would be teaching myself how to do that, and then going on auditions, looking for them, and even one of my the guy that the delivery man, we spoke, and he was just like, oh, he sent me a script. It was very stereotypically African American, which I was like, I'm not doing, because there's words that even it has to be like Denzel and Training Day for me to be all like N word this or this, be that. Like it got to be like something super strong and prolific for me to play a low vibrational character. So I was like, nah. But it was like the fact that we had that conversation, and whereas in New York, it will be somebody be like, "Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay, okay, okay," and it's just like I don't, there's no one want to help you. This guy was just like, well, let me send you this script and maybe, because this and that. And it was like, that energy was real different in that aspect musically. I was working with a lot of musicians. I kind of doing everything. I took, people's headshots. I was doing logos. I was really doing a lot. So with a lot of collaborative help. So that was something I didn't really experience in New York. It is kind of a crabs in the barrel, and here there's space and opportunity. There is that, pretentiousness, and there's this, I can do this for you, because I did get that as well, where it was just like, don't tell me you're gonna do something, you're not gonna do it. Like, because that's the part of New York that I appreciate. We don't even say we can do anything because we're not. And when we say it, we usually mean it.
Did you have any mentors or role models who really played some sort of pivotal role in your life and career in general?
First and foremost, my grandmother, who's like really my mom, my sister, my grandmother, my everything, still and always. Mama, I'm sure she's like hovering around, like, thank you,
Excellent.
every time. But
And was
I'm
she was
yeah.
she from New York?
No, she didn't grow up. She was there, but no, she grew up in Panama. She's a Panamanian as well. So when my mom moved to New York, she moved with her for her own reasons. I'm pretty sure, righting some wrongs. But I'm so happy. I'm so happy because for the first 15 years of my life, she was there from the cradle to the bed, like with me. We shared a room for that, and it was so pivotal because I was the first person that I've ever experienced, human that I've ever experienced unconditional love from. Best relationship, hands down, that I've ever had. Besides the one that I have with myself, is the best relationship I've had ever. And maybe collectively, seeing the other woman, the strength in my family for sure, and even like extended family. I have a best friend, and her mom was a real pivotal point in my life. Shout out to Risa Pisa, as I call her. Yeah, right. Yeah. She took me in at a time where, my mom kicked me out. And for homophobic reasons, and Risa is queer, So she took me in and literally lived like 5 minutes away from my mom. So it was kind of weird and just interesting of a dynamic.
Was that a cultural thing in terms of being homophobic, or?
Yeah, I would say it would go
Mm,
against her religious beliefs, and for the most
sure.
part, I mean, I go back to Panama, and I don't like dress any differently. I'm myself. It's a different time. However, I think their morals will still, a lot of them will still be the way it is, and more
And
at
your
the
grandmother
time.
was okay?
Well, as far we didn't I didn't discover who I am when she was alive, so I don't know. I always like to feel like she knew, and we would have been good because we had that dynamic where I was able to be my very interesting, eclectic self, and she appreciated me. Like I never felt like I could be anything else other than myself around her. Whereas like and my mom was always the complete opposite, you know what I mean? And other people in my life. So, like Risa took me in and, mentored me in ways that I don't even think she knows that she mentored me. She honed my photography. I used a lot her camera. She's a photographer as well, like on the side, and was like, I was using her cameras and, she was interested in like I was and everything I was doing is just fostering, like, seeing what I can do and really fostering that. And I love that. I would say on the outs, people that I don't know that I will meet, especially like Oprah. Me and her, we're going to be in her garden picking flowers and fruits one day.
I will be right there with you.
Yes. I'm like, Lindsay, get the strawberry. It's ready. Get it. Yes.
That's
Oprah's going to be
it.
like, she got the strawberry. We're making smoothies.
You nailed that.
Yes. Listen, I mean, there was a time that I prayed to Oprah. I tell you,
Mm.
it was shamelessly.
Well, why not?
Yeah, word to Oprah. That's just how it works. So, you know, for sure, so people like that and anyone like that, and also, from way before my time, Paul Robeson was an activist, an actor, a boxer, a Renaissance man, and I went to a Black Wax museum in Maryland, and that was the first time I learned about him, and I learned that word that way, and I was like, "That's who I am. I'm a Renaissance woman." So I actually have it. One of my first tattoos. It's Renaissance woman. I love the word. I mean, because essentially I feel like we are Renaissance humans. Like we can do everything. We can do any and everything, that we want to do. And that's what he did. And I was like, I want to be like that, and I am that as I saw that I am. And I was like, I have to put that in practice, which I believe I did. So here I am.
You sure did. And what was it specifically that drew you to the fashion industry? And I hesitate to say fashion industry because I don't know if that was the goal, but was there
Right.
like a
Right.
particular moment or realization that sparked your passion to create now what is this, huge gender-free brand of clothing?
I think the lack of visibility that I saw within the industry, because the people that I looked up to in the fashion industry they still don't have like their, I believe, like their the due accolades and the things that like credit for, especially in streetwear, like the cross colors and Carl Kanai and Walker wear and Dada Damani, which is something that a lot of people don't know, and like
For me, like even queer identity aside, fashion, quote unquote, is something that I've always struggled with. And that's why everything that you're doing with Stuzo is so inspiring to me, is because like growing up, I remember going shopping with my mom. That was like World War III every time. Every time she was like, we got to go get clothes. And I was like, I would literally rather, I don't know, gargle tax than go clothes shopping with you. Like, I'm so good. And then we would go, we go to the store, we try on a bunch of shit. I put it on and I'm just like, okay, like, can we go now? And then that shit would sit in my closet literally until like the next school year. And my mom would be like, why does this stuff still have tags on it? And I'm like, I hate it. Like, I don't want to wear that. Are you kidding me? And then she obviously she'd be upset. She'd be like, I spent so much money on this. Like, I thought you liked it. I'm like, no. And then eventually, like, as I got older, we would, in high school, we'd go shopping and I'd be like, yeah, that's ugly as shit. Like, I'm not wearing that. And she was like, what do you want to wear? I'm like, I don't know. Like something that's functional, but like still cute. And I still like, if it weren't for my partner, man, I don't even know what the hell I'd be wearing. So props to you.
Listen, I mean, you know what? That's great for sure. Well, thank you for sharing that story because like it's very relative to mine. And I'm pretty sure it just sounds like you're preaching to a choir. I'm sure a lot of us are like, yeah, we had similar experiences.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I didn't dread it. I was all excited until I got there because I grew up very oblivious. Even though things were happening, I was still oblivious. So I always kept a balance, an unconscious balance that I didn't even know that I had. And now, because now I love balance, so I strive for it. So it's like, I actually loved going shopping. I love going shopping. I kind of like shopping of any sort. Like you send me shopping to go shopping for anything, and I love it. Food, clothes, anything. Right? I love shopping. And my mother loved shopping. So we had total different tastes. So I would like, I appreciate her stuff for her. Like I saw her power suits and all that. I was like, yeah, it's cool. It's not for me. I actually like what my grandmother's wearing because I used to raid her closet, but I had to sneak and do it because it was oversized and they were like, that's too big for you. And I'm like, it's just the way I like it. And I would even sneak in my brother's closet and like had to do all this like, nobody can see me when I'm leaving and coming back and all that stuff. But same deal though, going to shopping with my mom. We'd go and I'd be happy, but then when we get there, I'd be like, I just don't like anything in this section,
Right.
And then I
Exactly.
wasn't even allowed to go in the male section at that point. So I was like bound to this. Then she would bring me stuff. It's like I bought you something, and I'm like, yes. In my head, I'm like, please just be something close to what I like because you can't turn it down. You just have to be grateful. You have to also act like you like it. Half the time, it would be something that I didn't want to wear. I would never wear it, or I'll just wear it because I had to. And it's just like, I was like into like jerseys. I wear a lot of hockey jerseys, football jerseys, stuff that I don't even watch or interested in. But it was a fashion. It was like, that's what we did, like it was oversized. It was like, a sneakerhead. Like, so I liked a lot of boyish stuff and I had to appease her a little bit. But for the most part, I wore a lot of baggy things and I liked what I saw because thankfully it represented my African roots and the street culture that I'm growing up in, home of hip hop, it's like that's a part of it. However, there's this part that I don't even know yet, but I don't see, which is my queerness. Then it was like, girls could be like baggy and you don't think, oh, they're queer, back then. Cause that was a thing that we did, you know? And then there's moment, there's a moment like in high school when you're like, if you're still baggy, then it's like questionable. You know what I mean? It's like the older you get, it's either you're losing the bag or you keeping the bag alive. They're like, okay, what's going on? I ain't seen you with no guys. This is this and that.
I did like a hard left just and like overcompensated. I was like, oh, everyone thinks that guy's cute. Bet like that's the one. Okay, that's cool. But clothing wise, it was hilarious. My mom loves to tell this story. I was young. I was maybe like I had like 13, 14, something like that. Probably like middle school. And it was picture day, and she sent me to school all cute in whatever she defined, cute. And when I got to school, or like not even when I got to school, like right before we took the picture, I took out a sweatshirt, like a New England Patriots gray tattered up sweatshirt that I think I found in like the Lost and Found, and was like, yep, this is it. So of course when I got home, she was like, how was picture day? I said, great. And then like weeks later when the pictures come in, she was like, oh, you got your pictures? I was like, here you go. Mortified. She was like,
I was
what did
like, I
you
want to
do?
see. Wow. I mean, listen, you had big clit energy at a young age. Let me tell you that. Let me tell you that's what you had. And You did. It's like you did it. You took over for the team, like for all of us. Because when I tell you what would have happened to me back then, oh my gosh. And I would have just been like on retake day, just like, don't ask me what happened, okay, dude? Like they'd probably be like, that didn't go well, huh? Like, just shut up, right? Because that's exactly where it would have been. And she would have like, hey, you're not keeping that picture.
Right?
Man,
Oh,
do you have that? So do you have that picture?
Oh yeah, I'll text it to you.
Oh, please. I need to see this.
I'll track
I
it
mean,
down.
it's such a classic move. It's like something I swear you did it for us all. I loved picture day. I loved picture day. You know, nothing could, even if my mom like gradually you could see like I started wearing what I wanted to wear. Before I was like in a dress or something, and it's just the idea of picture day for me. And I've always liked to be like put together. So like even over the years, they'd be like, "You're always so proper," and like like your hair, you look like you just sleep like that. And I was like, look, I put the work in. I put rollers in my hair every night. I had to sleep on one side of my head. Yeah, like some girls be having hair like just flied away. I'm like, nah, that's not, because one thing I saw my mom, like she was put together. She worked in the corporate world. So she was like, everything was like together and stuff. And that's how she wanted us to look as a representation of her.
And was she having conversations with you, like growing up, was she having conversations with you about how you were, quote unquote, supposed to look not only as a woman, but as a woman of color, and you had to almost overcompensate, unfortunately, for all of these, fucked up systems that are in place? Was that part of it? Was that a conscious thing, or was that just a signal?
No, there were two aspects. It's like, first of all, as a girl in like in the Latin culture, Caribbean culture, there's a lot of shit you can't do. That we're not supposed to do, but like like spitting and burping and natural human things. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, okay, well, what am I gonna do? I don't understand. Like filled with mucus and you can't whistle. So if I feel like whistling and just being happy and joyous, nope, can't whistle. You can't do this. But I was always the person that challenged a lot of that. So I was deemed the black sheep and the oddball. Those are two words that I've heard all too often, mainly from my mom. So she would just say that, like, you have to dress this way and you can't, there's some of the stuff though I would get away with it, some of the bag, but I guess because I wore some things like there's like to church, there's no way I'm wearing certain things to church. So I had to like sneak out or then at the time when like say eighth grade, it's either I'm wearing this because I was like, it's either I'm wearing this or I'm not going to church. So you have to choose. So it's like we had these agreements. And then one main thing wasn't really like fashion wise. So she kind of, I guess she understood. And, like now I'm thinking about it, like I did get some leeway because I wasn't like forced into it all the time. And I did wear some things that I was like, okay, I have this oversized thing. Mainly my hair. My hair was something that was like the crown of Panamanian royalty. Like you just cannot, like you can't have locks. I can braid it. You can braid it and you could, it has to like be this way. It's like, it has to be flowing, it has to be like, and no one asked for a perm. I couldn't go back, even though it was burning me. It was like, you asked for this. Now you're in this life. It's like a gang. I tell you, I was like, there's no way out. Like, I was like, but I don't want to do this anymore. It's like, no, you asked me for it. Now you're permanent. And I'm like, damn it. So there were things that I couldn't do. Like I couldn't lock my hair until I was like 18. And as far as like clothes wise, just certain places that I just could not, like if I didn't want to wear a dress to like a wedding or like someone's christening or this or that, like I had to wear something feminine, especially around family. Like there was a certain events that it was like you're gonna have to meet me where I'm at and wear this. And I'm just like so which is like it affects my mood and who I am and me showing up as who I am. So it took me a while to even like get used to family members at a function that I see a lot of times just because I'm not feeling at my best because I look like what she wants me to look like. So then it will take me like half the party. And by the time I'm getting like, I don't care about what's going on. And I probably messed it up anyway. And, then it's like, it's time to go. And it's like, damn, I just warmed up, and then it's the same thing over and over again, you know.
You say you don't know, and I say, please don't go.
And so now that you're, I mean, you wear whatever the hell you want, you do
Hmm.
whatever the hell you want.
Right.
And then I think what's so amazing is not only do you do that, but you enable and inspire others to do the same, which is so badass. And like, so how does it feel for you to go from, using all of these traumatic experiences and then using that as the fuel to, I mean, every queer celebrity I know wears your clothes. Every late night television show, all these articles,
Love
like all
it.
the things. Like that's so
Yeah.
sick. Do you have anything that you aspired to achieve that you've achieved that like you feel really, really proud of? Or has anyone worn your clothing that you're just so amped about? We're waiting on Oprah. We'll get there.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, literally she held her head against one of my beanies. So I am that much closer. Yes. So I mean, I'm so close. I can feel it. I dream about it. I dream about it. So, I dream that we do, like I said, we're in her garden, we do them things, and so that's gonna happen. I mean, that's to me one of the ultimate goals. Her and Michelle Obama, to tell you the truth, because I have something for everyone. So I love like when people, even if they're more in a feminine presenting wear, there's something for you. Jada Pinkett Smith is the moment that I was just like, wow, wow. It's one of those moments that still thinking about, like right now. I mean, I kind of don't even have a lot of the words, but one of the first like artistries that I fell in love with is acting, and she was my first hands down favorite actress. Will be always one of my in my tops. There's this fearlessness about her, being one of the first ones to be rocking short haircuts and oversized like sweats, and like her boyish nature. I saw myself, and I was like, and then following her and her journey, and when I saw Set It Off, I knew that I wanted to act. And mainly her character like drove it in to the point where I legally changed my name to her character in the movie. 'Cause I felt, amongst other reasons, but I felt very connected, and I am a stone, so that's that. And like, so when I saw, I remember I was on the toilet. Don't ask me. I don't know which one. We'll get it one or two or both. I don't know, but it was a good time. It's one of my favorite places to be. And because even sometimes I'm still on that toilet, and I'm just like, it'll come to me, and I'll remember the moment. And that was like I screamed, damn near dropped my phone. And I was just like, I wanted to just run, like no wiping all, just run like I was just in the jungle, like, oh my gosh, I met Willow before. I met Willow, and Jada was around. She didn't, we didn't meet yet. So, and she was around. So I met Willow, told the story about her mom and how she, encouraged, inspired me, and like I had actually put a woman up sweater, a t-shirt in there. So I know like what she has. So then seeing the hat, I was like, wait a minute, that means this was like ordered or gifted from someone. And then over the years, seeing her and other things that I'm like, I know for sure. It's not like, like I was like, here, Jada, have this. So I'm like, where did she get that from? And it's like her building a Stuzo collection, and it's only a matter of time since until we meet and discuss and just chat about all the good things in life, and I want to talk to her about Pac, and there's so much stuff, and pick her Virgo brain, and it's just been the true, that's been a rewarding one for me, having, like I said, being so inspired to change my name to that, and really see myself in a character, that she played, and then now to see her wearing my clothes voluntarily without me being like, hey, can you wear this or here this, and that, like just energetically attracted, and So, manifesting the time where, the Smiths take me and maybe they'll adopt me. I don't know. Listen, I ain't too
What a
old.
dream.
Okay. Right. I can
I love
mentor the
that.
kids, mentor the little ones. You know what
There
I
you
mean?
go. Damn. So, looking back, your journey from the Bronx all the way to LA, the establishment of Stuzo, how has that transformed your perspective and now your creative expression? And how do you think that's going to continue to grow moving forward?
Well, it's definitely grown exponentially because I've grown. So there are a lot of things that I wasn't open to. There are a lot of things I didn't know and I still don't know, like in business. And there was a lot of healing that went on, internally. So that just shifted like a 180, like on how I create and the space now that I have to organically, like, invite inspiration, rather than searching for it or feeling like, in the beginning I was like, I have to create this and I'm just creating and just kind of was making things. They were purposeful. They have more meaning now, because just like I said, I know more and I've healed more. So they, I have different beliefs.
Do you have an identity built around being, and this isn't something that I do, that's why I'm inquiring. Is there an identity for you around being a designer, being in the fashion industry, being a photographer, being any and all of those those things? Is that what is like motivating and inspiring to you to, or even like to be, do you identify as an entrepreneur? Because I think the reason why we get along is like, I just do shit and I love it.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and that's what's interesting is like, that's what I sense from you. And that's what I enjoy about our conversations is like, no, I found this passion and I followed it and I created, and that was an experience rather than like, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a fashion designer, I'm a photographer, I'm. And so I'm just curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah. I moved from a place where I am first, and then what usually comes after that is I am human, and that's where I moved from. And like I said before, we can do all that we want to do and everything, So the titles are like for everyone else, and it's cool. It's cool to know. It's cool to know that I have like titles under my belt, but then really I can add everything. I can be everything. Like I am everything. Every every profession is what I can do and what I am, right? It's just what I choose to do, what I'm interested in doing. And that's what it is for me, you know what I mean? And so I'm fine, with the titles and the entrepreneur. Yes, I do believe that I am all that. And like if someone says to shoot, because I mean, we all take out the garbage somewhere. Does that make it makes us a janitor, right? At some point. And this is something I was literally thinking about like 2 days ago. So it's like we're everything. So when you think about somebody and you see them taking out the trash, think about them and you see yourself. You are a janitor as well. You are a garbage person. You do that because you do it for yourself. You do it in your home. Even a person that is out on the street, they have to do something to maintain their space or themselves or something like that. We all have things that we do, unless we're literally just sitting there, and doing nothing all day and just sitting in one spot. And even then, you're existing. So you there's an I am to everything.
Before I let you go, I do ask every awesome human who comes on this show, what is the worst piece of advice they've ever gotten? And what's the best piece of advice they've ever gotten?
Usually I like to start on a high note, but I'm going to end because I want to end on a high note. So, um, the worst piece of advice, and just as a disclaimer, this came from a life coach. So, who helped me, and then that was that moment when I got that advice is when I knew that I had to step back and just be like, all right, this is where this healing ends with you and I. I was going through a really, really dark side of the moon moment, like tower moment, to reference tarot, where, my time, my life was like imploding. And I think it's a moment where I was unpacking maybe the middle, or like maybe middle to last of the trauma, and then facing and really holding myself accountable for some stuff that I was doing in life. And I spoke to the life coach, and she told me to just go. She's like, just go on autopilot and just throw yourself into work, and then everything is going to work out. And I'm just like, this is really like that was the advice. Like, I just knew, like, I was searching. I was like, I needed something good at that. I needed something to really like bring me back, because I was teetering even like suicide. And that was the last time that I felt that way. And then I had to call my best friend I was like, I need to hear something else, because that is send me into a different place. So yeah, I understand when, like, when foundation is good, then you can go on autopilot. Is it like, think about an actual pilot. If we over here like this, don't throw that sucker on autopilot. I need you to control this and get us to a place where we're like, floating on the clouds, we're feeling. And then you can go take a break and go to the bathroom and think about the things. Yeah. So I was like, I am not going to do that. And I just left that. And that was the last time I physically spoke to that person in that sense. And the best advice I got is from my all-time mentor, mi amor, mi mamá, my grandmother. She used to tell me this every time, almost every day before I left to go to school, to go to places, especially going to my father's house. It was like, she would say this to me. And she said, boca cerrada no entra mosca. And it means if you keep your mouth shut, flies won't get in. I have that tattooed on my back, as a matter of fact, because my grandmother always had my back, so I put her there. And I wanted to always remind myself of that. And it's something I'll never forget, because it still teaches me, and it taught me how, like, when to choose my battles, when to verbally choose my battles, and not, and like, so how to balance that out.
For sure. When's that shirt coming out?
I don't know. But that's something good. It may never, like, because one. It's to me, but it might come, because you know what? I'm like working on, what I realize is that I have no Latina like designs on my like, screen printed,
sure,
gear. And I was like, man, okay, I got to represent. Well, now, now that I know, it's the process has to come organically, but that's a good one. I did have one, but I didn't release it out. It was in the beginning. And then I gave it to like my mom and people that understand. It's called Vivir por Amor, live for life. So that might be one to kick it off. And we'll see if I bring out the bocas, because that's my, it's near and dear to me. And it's like, it might be something I just make for myself. And then I wear it. And then only me and Mama will know what that means. Yeah. And you now, and everyone listening.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you. This was a joy, as usual. Energies unmatched. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Thank you for listening to Learning with Lerner and hearing the wisdom, stories, and ideas that will have you feeling inspired and ready to take on the world. If you've enjoyed this, please remember to share, rate, and review. It means the world to me and the team putting it all together. If you're looking for more information, you can find me at lindseylerner.com. That's LindseyLerner.com. Or if you've got any questions or curiosity about me, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Lindsey Lerner. Thanks again for listening, and have an awesome day.